Chapter 4. Tears filled Maddie's eyes as she squeezed between shoulders and did her best not to trip over flailing feet. The yells of anger around her faded quickly to be replaced by the thump of music and the discord of hundreds of voices all trying to sing the melody at once. She didn't slow. She kept dodging and weaving until the rainbows all disappeared, and the only thing in front of her was empty sidewalk. When the noise faded to a distant hum, she stopped and slumped against the side of a building. Not caring where she was, Maddie pulled her knees up to her chest and buried her face in her arms. Alone. She didn't want to be alone. Why did Kit leave her behind? He'd promised to always be there for her, and now he was moving on without her. The crowd didn't even accept her. Not that she had wanted to be a part of that particular crowd. It still hurt with Kit's betrayal so fresh. A part of her mind wondered what happened to the 3 sign carriers, but she didn't have enough energy left to feel for them at the moment. It took all she had to break away and find a spot to sit. Kat's angry face returned to her. "Are you even trans at all?" Maddie finally felt her own anger bubbling. How dare Kat ask her that? Maddie's body was wrong, just a sack of meat that felt like a poorly made mask. Of course she was trans, wasn't she? What did being trans mean to Kat? Her phone buzzed once. She sighed and pulled it out. Missed call from Mom. 1 new voicemail. She tapped the notification and put the phone to her ear. "Maddie, I know you aren't at the mall. Why aren't you answering your phone?" "I am already on my way to pick you up at the protest. Don't you dare run off. I am tracking you." The message ended, and Maddie shoved the phone back into her pocket and stood up. Caroline knew where she was. How? Shiz. Her mom could track her through the parental controls on the account. She had completely forgotten about that feature. Not good. She started walking farther away from the rally for what good it would do her, but stopped when she spotted her mom's car coming down the street. Scrap. Things just went from bad to worse. Caroline jerked up to the curb. Maddie thought briefly about running, but what was the point? She had to go home sometime. All her stuff was there. She opened the door and slid into the passenger seat. Tension lay thick in the air like a cheap perfume. She waved at Emily and Quinn in the back, but they didn't wave back. They just watched her with wide eyes. Her mom pulled away from the curb in silence. Maddie watched her, shivering a little from nerves. The silence stretched until she couldn't take it anymore. "Mom, I don't want to talk about it in the car. I can already barely concentrate on the road." That meant her mom was at an entirely new level of mad. Great. Her phone buzzed. "Kit. Joker, what happened to you?" "Maddie. My mom found me. TTYL." Maddie put her phone away and stared out the window, and no one spoke until the front door shut behind them at home. "Emily. Quinn. I need you to go play in your room for a little while, please." Quinn puckered her lips. "But I want to watch shows." "Come on," Emily said, taking her little sister's hand. "We can go read stories." "Ooh, one with a panda?" "Sure." Emily gave Maddie a worried look as she guided Quinn to the stairs. Maddie smiled at her, but the gesture felt hollow. Once the 2 girls disappeared up the stairs, Caroline pointed at Maddie. "What were you doing at that rally?" Maddie shrugged. "Hanging out. Waving flags." Her mom's face turned pink. "You know you're not supposed to associate with those people. What were you thinking?" Maddie felt her own face turn red. "Those people? What were you going to call them, Mom? Gays? That's not fair. Besides, you lied to me about where you were going." She rolled her eyes. Caroline's voice rose toward yelling threshold. "Don't you roll your eyes at me." "Why did you lie about going to the mall?" "Because you wouldn't have let me go to the rally." "No. Because there isn't anything at those rallies for you, Maddie. Those people won't make you any less confused." She hated the judgment in her mother's words. Hated that she was alone. No one could help her. She needed Kit's friends to pull her out of the darkness. She needed things to make sense. Her anger clawed its way out of her throat. How would you know? You don't know how I feel. Kit's friends do. They understand me. Caroline threw up her arms. Of course. Anytime I have problems with you, Sarah is right in the middle of it. I bet it was her idea to lie to me about the mall. He goes by Kit, not Sarah. He is a boy, not a girl. You know how I feel about this, Maddie. I call people by their real names and their actual gender. You give nicknames to me and Quinn and Emily. Why not Kit? Caroline opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. It's different. How? Kit is just a nickname like Spud. I don't know why it is different, but it is. Calling Sarah by Kit feels like condoning something I don't believe in. I can't do it. Maddie saw the 3 sign carriers mobbed by the crowd in her mind. She shook her head and looked her mother in the eyes. I messed up, Caroline. Her mother flinched visibly at the words. I feel like a stranger in my body, and I hate myself, and no one understands how I feel except the people at that rally. I need someone to talk to. Her heart fluttered and sweat slicked her palms. She hadn't been this straightforward with her mom in ages. Oh, Mads. Caroline moved toward her, but stopped when Maddie stepped back. I know you need help. That's why I took you to those counseling sessions. We could start going back if you want. She shook her head. All the counselor had done was tell her to embrace her identity, accept her true self. How did she embrace her true self when that was the very thing that eluded her? If her mom only knew what the sessions had been like, she would never make Maddie go back. That counselor was an idiot. And there it is. You say you want someone to talk to, then you balk when I try to help. Just because we don't know exactly how you feel does not mean we are idiots. I wasn't talking about you. Not everything is about you, Mom. And not everything is about you. The yell echoed in the house, stunning them both. Her anger died, smothered under the weight of her singularity. You're right. The words came out choked and quiet. Mads, I'm going to bed. She turned, trying to hold back her tears until she got to her bedroom. I'm not done with you, young lady. You are still in trouble. She stopped but didn't look back. Fine. What are you going to do, ground me to my room for a few days? Yes. Maddie smirked into the darkness. Whatever. I am also considering taking away your phone. Her stomach dropped and she spun around, eyes wide. What? Caroline walked past her. I thought about it, but I know something that will make an even bigger impact. Maddie watched her, confused. Not my phone? Caroline stooped at the front door near Maddie's bag, her bag with her skateboard. Mom, wait. Her mom stood up, clutching Rand's board. Maddie's board. You can have this back when I can trust you again. Maddie wanted to scream at her mother. She wanted to hit and scratch and bite until she got the board and then run away and never come back. Instead, she choked back a sob as she rushed up the stairs to her room. She slammed the door and dove onto her bed without turning on the light. Alone. She was alone. She pushed her face into her pillow and sobbed. The nightmare woke her. She didn't scream when she woke. It always took a moment for her to orient herself back to the real world. The nightmare itself seemed real. More than real, even. Once she realized she was awake, she was already sitting up, tears leaking down her cheeks. This one had been more intense and visceral than ever, invading her emotions like a virus, morphing her to its will. Had she spoken aloud again? Had Emily heard? She closed her eyes and buried her face in her hands. Why? The whispered plea filled her room, then faded quickly in the dark. Her bed felt lumpy right where it was hidden. Tonight? No, not tonight. But soon, maybe. Soon, if nothing changed. Maddie laid back down and closed her eyes. She waited. She even tried counting sheep in her head, but sleep had fled her. With a sigh, she sat up and rummaged in the dark for some dirty socks. Socks located, she put them on and pulled the blinds up on the window behind her bed. The sky was dark, barely a sliver of a moon shining down. Maddie opened the window and clambered out onto the roof. She pulled her blanket out behind her and spread it on the rough shingles. Then, sitting on the blanket in the cool night air, she looked up at the sky. The city lights blocked most of the stars, but a few of the brightest ones still glimmered through the haze. It was sitting here, on warm nights after the nightmare finished, that Maddie felt most at peace. There, on the roof in the dark, it didn't matter who she was or what body she was in. She was just a small piece of a great big universe, and she could simply be that part, one among many, and feel less alone, somehow. An impulse took her, a question to pose to the universe. She opened her mouth but stopped. It was silly. Nothing could answer her up here. And yet, "Are you watching me?" She spoke to the stars, the heavens, the primal cosmic powers of creation. "Is there anyone up there, really?" A voice spoke nearby, strong and male and real. "Most definitely." Maddie gasped, looking around wildly. "Who's there?" Sorry. The voice chuckled. "I couldn't help myself. It's just your neighbor, John." She turned and noticed the window of the rental open and the man's form outlined by a pale light from inside. She glared at him, though he probably couldn't see it. "You nearly made me roll off the roof. What in the world are you doing?" "Sorry, again, but I could ask you the same question." "It is 2 a.m. Are you trying to sneak out?" "No." Maddie thought about going back inside, but decided against it. "I couldn't sleep." "Ah, a fellow insomniac. Well met, Maddie." "Whatever. Were you spying on me?" "I will admit that I did not announce myself when you first appeared, but I was already here when you crawled out of your window." She waited, but he didn't say more. "Are you going to bed anytime soon?" "Nope. Insomniac, remember." She waited again. "Don't you have anything better to do?" "Probably, but it is such a nice night, wouldn't you say?" She didn't answer. Silence descended between them, so she tried to focus on the stars again. He started humming. "Can you be quiet?" "Indeed I can." He kept humming. "Can you please go do that somewhere else?" "I could, but once again it is a really nice night." The humming resumed. Maddie ground her teeth in frustration. For a moment, she considered going back to bed just to get away from the humming idiot, but that felt like giving in. She knew they were in some unspoken contest, and she was determined to win. So, she folded her arms and glared at the sky. 5 minutes. She lasted 5 minutes before she couldn't stand it any longer. "What is your problem?" "I'm good." "Thanks for asking." "How long are you staying up?" "How long are you staying up?" Maddie took in a breath and let it out slowly between her teeth. She told herself she could handle it. She could handle it and not murder him, most likely. "Did you and Caroline have a fight?" The question caught her off guard. "No." "Ah, so I misinterpreted the yelling and screaming." "We had a fight." "So what?" "What were you fighting about?" "None of your business." "Of course." "Excuse me." Maddie waited, but he didn't push her, and more confusingly, he didn't hum. "Why did you ask about it?" "Because I was curious." "And now you don't want to hear the answer?" "Do you want to answer?" "No." "Okay." Silence. Maddie felt the blood rising to her cheeks again. She'd lost the fight with her mom, but she was determined to win this one. "Why do you keep prying in my business?" "What do you mean?" "Asking about the fight. And this morning asking where I was going and telling me to come to church. Should I not show concern for my neighbors? As Christ said, 'Love thy neighbor as thyself.' That's not what I... Why don't you just leave me alone?" He paused. "Are you sure you want to be left alone?" He emphasized the last word. Maddie shivered as a chill settled on her skin. Did he know? Yes. No. I don't know. You don't know if you want to be left alone? She didn't answer, just looked up and focused her eyes on one of the glittering stars overhead. She was alone. It didn't matter if she wanted to be left alone or not. When John spoke again, his voice was quiet. Maddie had to focus to make out the words. I don't think anyone truly wants to be left alone. When we say that, what we really mean is that someone is getting too close to the truth that hurts us. We don't want to talk about it because bringing it out in the open will hurt even more than keeping it locked up in our minds. Maddie's throat ached as the pain fought to leak out her eyes. She didn't want to listen, but she didn't stop him either. We are wrong, though, when we tell ourselves that bringing the difficult things out into the open air will hurt us more. That is the great lie we tell ourselves because we are scared of facing the ugly truth. The reality is we must face our problems to overcome them. They don't magically disappear when ignored. They don't go away with time. Like demons, our problems lie in wait for us to put down our guard. Then they come back even more ferocious than before. And they beat us because we ignored them. When we do not face the truth and grow from the struggle, we only weaken ourselves. Maddie finally looked at John's silhouette in the window. That sounds very wise. It does, doesn't it? I wish I could claim wisdom, but I think that might be beyond me. He chuckled. Aren't you wise if you say wise things? Maybe. But any wisdom I have comes to me from another. Who? I thought you were a drifter. He chuckled again. I am. I mean that I get my wisdom from a man who lived long ago. He was raised on a cross so that no man or woman would ever need to be alone. He is with me, and he is with you. Jesus is my life and my wisdom. Maddie stood and gathered her blanket. And that is my cue to go to bed. No Jesus for Maddie yet. Got it. She paused, one leg inside and one still on the roof. Yet? John's window closed with a thump. He was gone.